They're here to entertain us, but does that mean we can do what we like with them when they no longer win? Here's Paula again on what happens to greyhounds that are past their use-by date.
Good girl, good girl. Ready?
Away she goes.
You watch this when she gets on the fluff when she comes back. Her race name's Obsessed, and there's a good reason for that, you'll see.
Knowing greyhounds are fast is one thing. Seeing them up this close is quite another.
Come on, Nikki!
They are powerful, impressive beasts who'd be frightening if they were after you. Thankfully, all they want is the prey. This one is one of around 30 or so dogs Craig Roberts trains on his property near Christchurch.
You can see why she's called Obsessed.
She is obsessed with that.
She loves it.
There's something about this industry that seems to attract stayers, and Roberts has been in the game for 30-odd years.
As far as I'm concerned, they're the best athletes in the world. The dedication in which they chase, the speeds they get up to, and then how they behave in their kennels and that, they're just like big babies. They're fantastic natures.
Gertie, come here.
Come on, love.
Come here.
Good girl. Nothing to stand on there.
She's not
Roberts seems to have an affinity for his animals, whatever speed they are. Gertie is now blind and diabetic. She's on insulin every day.
How old is Gertie?
She's 12. So
why did you decide to keep her as a pet?
Oh, she's
You can't keep them all as pets, obviously.
Because she sort of grew up as a bit of a pet anyway, she had that, and she just had that fantastic nature. So we used to haul her off the couch and take her to the races. She used to love it.
It's good to meet Gertie because you don't see too many old greyhounds around. While we've been researching the story, we've heard a lot about what's being called the industry's hidden secret, the euthanizing of healthy ex-racing dogs.
So Amy is your latest addition to the family?
Yes, she is. Yep.
And even some who love greyhound racing will admit to concerns with it.
Where is it?
James Mason is a former track vet. Former because he's on a 10-year disqualification over betting and doping charges. He keeps dogs himself, but he's not allowed near a racetrack. But in spite of the ban, James Mason still loves the sport.
Animal welfare campaigners are calling it industrialised animal abuse.
I certainly think it's stretching the truth to a breaking point.
That's it.
But there's one thing he is conflicted about, and that is the killing of healthy dogs. Mason estimates that he's euthanized up to 200 over 3 years, dogs put down for either poor performance or age.
What age is deemed to be too old?
Well, they can race up to 5 years old.
So if they're being euthanized at 5 or younger?
They have a short life, yes. No getting away from that.
Come on.
The key question is, how many? Well, Greyhound Protection League founder Aaron Cross claims there are thousands of missing dogs that disappeared who vanish when their racing days are over.
The euthanasia of greyhounds comes from an industry where there's no room for losers.
But the numbers Aaron Cross cites infuriate Jim Leach, head of Greyhound Racing New Zealand, though he struggles to refute them.
So it's fair to say you and your association don't know how many dogs are killed each year?
No, we wouldn't have any detailed evidence. That would not be a great deal, though.
That is disputed, though. Some say it's up to 1,000 dogs killed each year.
I think you're quoting figures from the Greyhound Protection League, who have never ever produced any evidence to support these figures.
I suppose your problem, though, is that you can't produce evidence to the contrary.
Well, we've got a pretty good idea, probably a lot better idea than what they've got.
He says some of them end up as pets through adoption programs, and some trainers will adopt privately. And we've learned a small number comes here to Massey's Veterinary Teaching Hospital. Since 2006, the university has taken more than 150 greyhounds from trainers. Dr Nick Cave says they're euthanased and dissected by trainee vets.
The greyhound, because of its anatomy, because of its unique physique and the low body fat mass and its body size, makes it the perfect breed to teach veterinary students anatomy.
What condition are they in when they arrive?
Almost always excellent.
So they're healthy dogs?
They range from dogs that are healthy to dogs that perhaps have fractured a leg or maybe ill for other reasons, but most of them are in a reasonable state of health.
But have reached the end of their racing careers?
Correct.
But disquiet about the death toll is growing, even amongst trainers. One we spoke to told us he's put down more than 500 dogs over his career, and that he's managed to justify it to himself as humane because it's always been done by a vet. Although he's now reached the conclusion that justification is, in his words, bullshit. Is it the reality that a certain disputed number of healthy dogs is killed each year?
Yes, there would certainly be some. It could be a few hundred perhaps.
So by the industry's own admission, a few hundred ex-racing dogs are killed each year. We've looked at the figures from last season and discovered that nearly 700 dogs from the year before were missing. So where are they? Well, 180 odd are confirmed as dead, the fate of a further 80 is unknown, and 280 are listed as retired. But in some cases, is retired a euphemism for something else?
For instance, remember this dog who we saw injured at Wanganui and who was put down that day? Well, the industry's public records list him as retired, and he's not the only one we know of. In spite of the injuries and the deaths, the show goes on, and it's growing. The association is hoping to sell live footage internationally to attract Asian gamblers. Those against greyhound racing are appalled, and they're not about to give up, even in the face of outright hostility.
The more you say, the more you criticise the industry, the more outspoken you are, the more you're painted as being obsessive, maniacal. They don't like you. Are you obsessed by this?
I don't care what people think, Paula. Honestly, I don't. I care that greyhounds are dying for the gambling industry.
In 2012, is this kind of entertainment or industry, whichever you want to call it, that actually leads to injuries and deaths for dogs, is it acceptable or is it an outdated practice?
I think it's definitely an acceptable practice. The dog has a great life. If I was going to come back as a dog, I'd want to come back as a greyhound.
You'd want to be a fast one though, because
Yes.
if you're not, you might not last that long.
I'd certainly be going for it.